What up, y'all? DCFAYGOGUY. Happy Halloween. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Insane Clown Posse Hallowicked comic put out by the Chaos Comics. Now, as you can see, it does say Hallowicked #1. I honestly believe this was meant to be the first of several issues of comics that they plan to put out, each telling a different story, each having a different tale in them. However, in 2002, Chaos Comics would go bankrupt. Therefore, this would be the only issue put out. And as you can see, it was put out in 2 copies. If you put the 2 together, it makes out one big image. Some classic ICP flavor. So all I want to do here is just pull out this one here, and I'll just go through each of the pages and show you what's going on, and kind of show you a little bit what's being said, what's going on in the comic. But on the inside here, you have a little introductory about the madness of this world and the fact that there are monsters and there's evil that lives amongst us. These monsters cause pain, suffering, and punishment to alleviate the pain in their own demented and polluted minds. Welcome to a place and time that should not exist, but instead is an hour that tolls way too often in this world. Welcome to the 13th hour. It takes us to what looks to be a basement. Water Valley, Mississippi, October 31st. See, this is what makes me believe that this was supposed to be a first of many, is they're telling a story now, and it takes place, of course, on Halloween, or Hallowicked, as the series would suggest. Enter Harold Bemis. The woman you see is his next victim, who he abducted during her walk home from college 2 days ago. That particular walk of hers had annoyed Harold. The way she moved her legs up and down and up and down, and teasing him with her short skirts that hid the treasure he seeks. Now he has her. He relishes in her torment, for she will cease to tease him for very much longer. And here you just have a scene where he's talking about her being a bitch and thinking that she's that she rules the world because she has a pussy. So he gets joy out of he feels empowered over torturing women, basically. I really like that this kind of gives a little bit of a backstory to Dark Lotus. Life is a strange place, full of unexplained happenings that most people see, yet choose to lock away in the furthest recesses of their minds. That is why the spirits of what is known as the Dark Carnival can operate in our world almost unnoticed by others. Life goes on and people live and die, but sometimes those who die unjustly and in a horrific fashion cry back from the afterlife with pleas for justice. Their spirits fight back from death to try and get revenge on those who have done indescribable things to them in life. If their voices are loud enough to disturb the natural energies of the supernatural world, then their desire begins to take shape unnoticed by most into ghostly forms of retribution. A nightmare of darkness to fall upon those evil abominations that still walk the world, so they may be cast into the eternal abyss, a bottomless pit filled with demons who line its walls and pull newcomers down to the deepest levels of hell. So the cries are heard that call for Harold Bemis' soul, and those known as the Dark Lotus begin to form. They are spirits who lived a life of suffering. Now they take on forms that will bring suffering unto others. They have shed their personal names and now haunt the mortal world as Violent J, Shaggy, Jamie Madrox with 2 D's for some reason, Monoxide Child, Blaze, and Anybody Killer. So this obviously came out after the falling out with Mars. They have come for one purpose, and as death is conclusive, so is their task. So from here out, I'm just going to kind of scroll through and let you see what's happening without reading you what exactly is going on. You know, he's watching porn, talking about how she's a bitch, he should have just fucked her. His TV goes out, he's freaking out. Here's a knock at the door, opens the door. There you see 5 of the Dark Lotus children. He opens the door yelling, you know, this isn't Halloween, or he doesn't have any fucking candy, doesn't have time for games. They just stand there unfazed. I have a gun! And then they take the form of some of his previous victims, which freaks him the fuck out, because he killed him, right? So enter Jay to tell him that you have brought us here. Your evil is like a beacon. And then he shows his previous victims. And they taunt him a little bit using some bugs. Telephone rings. He hears a previous victim screaming out for help. Do you hear it, Harold? Do you hear the screams of the damned? So he wakes up, thinks it's all a dream, which pisses him off because it's that fucking bitch's fault in the basement. She's upset him, so now he's seeing things. So Dark Lotus is there, talking to her, telling her that if she opens herself up, she could be a vessel for the previous victims of his, that they can't kill him because they're just, they're from the spirit world. They don't have physical forms. But that if she opens herself, then they can help her by helping her channel the previous victims. So when he comes to torture her for, you know, causing him to see things, she opens her eyes and she's channeling the previous victims. So they get to exact their revenge through her. And when he dies, he falls into the pits of hell, into the netherworld. The spirits leave her. She wakes up not knowing what happened. Jay tells her it's over now, his soul is where it belongs, and you can live your life. I have eased your mind from the horrors you have seen. Just walk away from here and never look back. It will seem like a dream to you, it will all seem like a distant dream or a faint memory soon enough. She wakes up, She has a baby. Of course, there's Shaggy chilling on a roof. And it leaves off with, once you have touched upon the Dark Lotus, you will be protected by its roots for the rest of your natural life and beyond. So there you guys go. That is the Hallowicked first issue, which again, unfortunately, is the only issue they were able to come out with before the company Chaos Comics would file for bankruptcy. They actually did come out with a couple other comics afterwards before that happened. I know they came out with the Halls of Illusions comic and the Mr. Johnson's Head comic. Those would be the last two that Chaos Comics would put out for Insane Clown Posse. So there you guys go. Happy Halloween. A little look into the Hallowicked comic by Chaos Comics of Insane Clown Posse. If you like this video a lot, stick around. I actually have plans to revamp a series I started 3 years ago and never finished. I did the original 3 comics that took place before the Pendulum. I plan to revamp that and redo the first 3 because I have a better camera now. So definitely stick around later in November to find out more about that. I plan on doing all the comics like I originally intended with HD quality so you can actually see a lot better. That's the reason I'm going to be re-releasing those reviews as well. So if you liked what you saw here, definitely stick around and subscribe if you're not. And thanks you guys for watching, and have a motherfucking happy Hallowicked, y'all. Peace.